It's sort of like Clue. It's sort of like Murder, She Wrote. It's got a little flavor that's like Agatha Christie, and it even kind of reminds me of an escape room with a smidge of Groundhog Day thrown in. But no matter how you look at it, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is a very interesting read. Hello everybody, welcome back to Book Talks with Miss Thomas. If you're new here, please subscribe, and if you've already been watching, welcome back. Today I want to talk about The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a new one for me, and I wasn't quite sure where to put it. It falls into a lot of different categories. So I think I'm going to just sort of sift through this book very slowly with you guys if you're interested, and if you are, then just follow along. So imagine for a minute that you are assigned the task of solving a murder, and you know that this murder is going to happen by 11 o'clock or at exactly 11 o'clock that night, and you have that day to solve it, but you have to relive that day if you don't, over and over and over again until you solve the murder mystery. Now, here's the catch. You solve the mystery from different perspectives. You're assigned to different characters in the story, and each time you're a different character in that story, you're trying to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle at 11 o'clock that night. The other catch is there's this footman who's determined to kill you. So you're running for your life. You're trying not to be killed by the footman, and you're trying to solve the murder mystery so that you can escape this sort of, I don't even know what it is. I think it's supposed to be like hell or sort of purgatory. It's like a place in between, I guess. And the idea is if you have done something in your life really horrible, you get sent here. And your punishment is to try and relive the same day over and over and over until you get it right. And if you get it right, then you're free. But if you're not, if you don't get it right, you're stuck there, I think, for eternity. So that's the situation for this main character, and his name actually is Aidan Bishop, but I paused for a minute because I'm like, well, what is his name? Because in some chapters he's Ravencourt, and in some chapters he's Davies. You know, he has to take different characters, and it reminded me a lot of the game Clue, actually, which I love to play. I'm a big family game night person, so I enjoyed this book. And it's interesting because it has a lot of different components to it. Now, the other thing is there are other characters in the, it's a time loop, I guess, they're stuck in. And there are other characters in the story who are also stuck in the same time loop. And they know that they're stuck in this time loop. And so they're all competing to solve the mystery. And only the person who solves it is free to go. All right, so another interesting thing about this story, I wanted to talk about the idea of redemption because, you know, everyone in here has done something really horrible, except the main character. He's in there by choice. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know why he's in this time loop and why he needs to solve the murder of Evelyn Hardcastle. He doesn't know why he needs to solve the murder of Evelyn Hardcastle, but apparently he volunteered to go here. And he has made friends with this woman named Anna, and that's really discouraged. You're not supposed to trust anybody else in the time loop. You're all competing against each other. So that's an interesting twist, because if only one person can survive, he joins forces with Anna, but they don't exactly trust each other, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and so it's a struggle to trust the other characters in the story as well. I want to read you a passage, and it's toward the end, but it's not a spoiler. It doesn't really give anything away, but the idea of redemption to me, I just thought it was really cool, so I wanted to share that with you. let's see. So he's talking to sort of a guide that guides him along throughout this journey as he's trying to solve the mystery. And he says, the guide says to him, "Do you know how you can tell if a monster is fit to walk the world again, Mr. Bishop?" he says contemplatively. "If they're truly redeemed and not just telling you what you want to hear." He takes another long slug from the hip flask. "You give them a day without consequence, and you watch to see what they do with it." My skin prickles, my blood running cold. This was all a test? We prefer to call it rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, I repeat, understanding rising within me, like the sun over the house. This is a prison. Yes, except instead of leaving our prisoners to rot in a cell, we give them a chance to prove themselves worthy of release every single day. "Do you see the beauty of it?" exclaims the plague doctor. He's like the guy that sort of helps Aidan Bishop throughout the book. "The murder of Evelyn Hardcastle was never solved, and probably never would have been. By locking prisoners inside the murder, we give them a chance to atone for their own crimes by solving someone else's. It's as much a service as it is a punishment." Are there other places like this? I say, trying to wrap my head around it. So the main character, Aidan Bishop, in this book, he is trying to break free from the horrible time loop, and he's trying to figure out who to trust. And he's made friends with this woman named Anna, but only one person is free at the end. So is he going to choose for Anna to be free, or is he going to choose himself, or are they both going to be stuck there forever? I recommend The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. He's a new one on my list, but I recommend this book.